Hello, here I am again, just in case. First episode, before this one was the intro, and I was already in Norway. Now I am in Ecuador, in Montañita actually. It's a small town, basically a surfing town. Last year there was a surfing competition here, so it became a pretty popular place to move around. We didn't know it was such a party place, which we haven't tried. But it is a town of purely life on the weekends. During the week is completely dead, which is awesome. The beach is beautiful. There's surfing every day, and there is almost no people. So meditation every day. I've been here, like the blessing. Beside that, we were not expecting to have the experience that we had yesterday, Saturday, we finished yesterday Sunday in the morning, but it started Saturday at 9:30 with a very great shaman. I respect him very much, especially after what happened on Saturday night. He's an old school shaman. He's the style, for those that knows Carlos Castaneda's books about Don Juan, he's that style. He believes in those type of realities and the powers of dreaming, and basically he's a man of knowledge. He doesn't consider himself very important. He's very humble, but in the same time he shows you that he is important, because he's a healer. He really is a curandero. And anyways, I'm going to start saying how it was. It was on his place. He has his own place. He's constructing it, so he doesn't do very often. He doesn't ask people to do it either. You pretty much have to ask him to do it. With certain frequency he does some ceremonies, but he mostly invites his good friends that are they are in the path of knowledge and discovering too, so they have quite much experience. And we were very lucky to participate in a ceremony with only 5 people, counting the shaman. So me, Petteri, a man from England called Hike, and a girl that is from the mountains. She doesn't have internet, she doesn't have phone, she doesn't have TV, or she has a phone but just one of those SIM cards. And she's a crystal woman. Very interesting woman too. I got to learn a lot from her. Very good recommendations of books. But anyways, the ceremony. Here in Ecuador, or the people of knowledge, they put a lot of emphasis on the big abuelo, the big grandfather, the fire, and the grandmother, the water. So the whole ceremony goes around. First we have an opening with the tobacco, where we put our intentions. We can pray for people, or we can pray for our journey, or pray for issues that we want to become better on. Or something that I set awareness on is that all the people that has experience on this, they don't pray for themselves, they pray for others, they pray for the world. So the feeling is that your world becomes so much bigger. They prayed a lot for Palestine, they prayed a lot for the people on drugs, so they will find the way, the salvation, the light, and the change. They pray a lot for sickdoms, and I'm not going to drag it too long on that sense, but then after the praying, we drink the brew, the medicine. In this case, it was ayahuasca, and first we drank it in a liquid form, so the medicine will reach deeper. And then the shaman starts singing some Icaros, and surprisingly this time he passed the lanza. I don't know how it's called in English, but it's like arrow, I think it is. So he passes you the arrow, and you put that one in your left hand, and then you have on the right hand you have a maraca. So he passed it first to Petteri, and now it's your turn to sing. Everybody has to share a song. So it's very, we are all collaborating. We are all making this happen. We are all journeying together. So it's not like a Western style that they like to come in their comfortable seat and drink the brew and deal with their problems, which I don't think it's bad either. Some people needs to focus in their own things only. But it's pretty nice to like be able to participate, because then you kind of forget all. I would imagine that you pretty much forget all the issues that you think you have, and you maybe create yourself because you put so much importance into it. And then that was my big challenge too, to sing in front of others and for others. So you feel, when you sing for others, you feel the attention. And I sang what I really feel is part of me, something that I have discovered not long ago, thanks to a very great shaman as well that I respect very much from the north. So I was yoiking, and it was very nice. It was very liberating, very freeing. Then after that, we passed it around, and if any time you felt like singing again, you could always ask it. I did. Which also was very nice. So then after drinking it, the liquid form of ayahuasca, he had prepared a very special form of ayahuasca that I've never tried, but it was amazing. He prepares it with his son, and it's made in base of cacao. So delicious. Like normally ayahuasca, you don't feel like drinking a next cup. It's hard. You have to feel like you have to fight something, or be a great warrior inside of you, or have an extremely bad taste because it's a very special taste. But I bless that medicine. It's very awakening. So I have been feeling some type of energy that have been following me for a while now, and it was pretty much blocking. It have done that before. When I'm reaching a certain level, I encounter this kind of electric blue energetic wall where I crash against, and then I start fading away. And it was interesting to see that actually my intuitions were telling me the right thing long time ago. And I just thought I was crazy. And never do that. It's a good advice to follow your instincts. Instinct is something so prehistoric almost from our history, you know. But as long as our history goes, as far it goes. So then after drinking the first one, it was very talkative. So for example, Petteri was having a bit of a hard time because he wasn't capable to, or it was difficult to drag him back to this reality, to the reality of learning, of knowledge, of consciousness, because he was not understanding the words. So I understood how important it is to still have the language that we have here, or to have some type of will of not being dragged around, you know. It's way much stronger to like follow, even though it was hard for me too. So I'm sorry, I went too far in this. Yeah, that I have to clarify that it was in Spanish. It was not on English. And Don Jorge, he speaks very fast. Sometimes it was hard for me, that this is my mother language, Spanish, to understand what he was saying. So after that, it was we prayed for the grandfather, the fire, and he was explaining us how they do it here in Ecuador. They create this half moon where the fire is inside. It represents a bow, and it's how do you say the peel? Arrow. So the fire is the arrow, and they construct it in a V form. So it goes like this on the back of the bow, and then on the bow is where you put the sacred figures, like the virgins that you want to that you bless for or that you pray for, and stones or objects, power objects that you have. And so everything is aligned. It's about alignment when they do a ceremony here. They have a fireman first, then they have the arrow of the fire that represents the sex, the Kundalini energy, not the sexuality, but the Kundalini energy that is the most, the deepest and strongest energy, the source of energy that we have. So we have that very we're too addicted to it in a desiring pleasure, you know, like in that superficial way, when it's a source of energy that if you respected it, if you used it properly, you could get so much more. Then after that, with the brasas, that's when the fire creates these stones that are red, you know, and or the wood creates this like pieces that are red or orange, that are just like warming up. Brasa in Spanish. These ones, you place them in the middle, representing the heart. And during the ceremony, you go constructing a bird, because it's like a phoenix that is going to fly up, searching for the rebirth. And this one aligns with another very small piece of this same brasa that it's at the end, at the start of the bow. So you have the V, that is the arrow, and then the heart, and then afterwards you have the head, the thoughts. That would be the third eye, the illumination. And this is aligned with the shaman. So the shaman is in the other side. When you are in that situation, you never go, you always go clockwise around the fire, and you never cross the connection of the fireman that is sitting in front of the arrow. Neither you cross over the tobacco that is in between the bow and the shaman. So it's a very strong line of grandfathers, grandmothers that are here for giving us alignment and strength. Without us knowing it, they are teaching us things. Sometimes they come directly to you and they tell you the things you need to know, because maybe for you this is the way, but sometimes they will just make you download information that will just come afterwards. And also very important is how you place the fire. So the arrow is placed first, the right one, that is the grandmother, and then because she's the seed, no, not the seed holder, she's the life maker. We women, we are so blessed to be the ones that are the creators of life, and that's why we are so powerful. I'm not saying that men is not powerful. We all have a feminine and masculine side, but we women in that sense. That's why women first, and then the male, the grandfather, with his knowledge, his strength, you know, his stability. So this creates the V. It's important that the fireman, this is something we learned yesterday or Saturday night, that the fireman keeps the fire aligned, because this is something that you have to be observing all the time. When you're purging, they call it alivio, the relief. So when you're relieving, you're relieving your soul about, without them having to come to a ceremony with your intention put it on them. So when you are relieving, you should always observe the fire, because the fire is going to give you teachings, or going to like give you information. The old grandfather fire, he teaches you whatever it's needed with that relief. Then after, you go and take some cider, you throw it on the fire, and you pray for your relievings to not come back. It's all a ceremonial situation that is very beautiful, and I feel that it probably does this clip in your head, like click in your brain, where you bury it, you know, it's gone, it's finished. And also another thing that was very curious about the fire was that they said, or they believe, that the fire, when you put up a fire like that, it's called sacred fire. It's a fire with intention of healing. So you're not only healing egoistically, those people that are here, you are with the intentions of healing others too. You're in connection with the healing spirits. They don't like egoism. They embrace those that have the good intentions of healing. Of course, if you have issues yourself first, but then as well thinking in others. So when the fire is like putting the sticks like this, they're like one over another. If one falls on the side, the shaman explained that means that's a fallen person or human or spirit in this earth that is falling into their own symptoms or debilities or something, you know, like for example somebody in drugs that may fall again into the bad habit again. So when you lift it up, he says that you really feel the power of the strength of grandfather, the fire, lifting up that person. So from far away, you're also lifting up people to be healed. And another thing that I thought it was extremely interesting is Jorge, Don Jorge. He's between 60, early 60s years, and he is so knowledgeable and so stable. He doesn't brag about being anything, but he's blessed by very good shamans. In the shamanic world, you need to have the blessing of another great shaman to be able to give the medicine, and that means that they are taking the responsibility on you. So if you do bad things, they will pay it spiritually. So they don't normally give. They shouldn't. The good shamans, they don't give blessings to whoever. We were so lucky, honestly, to meet this man. It's so interesting to know him. And I will probably work more with him, and he's putting me in contact with a lot of women shaman, which I'm in need to encounter. And I have notes again. Yes. Then after looking at the fire and all this, I started feeling this fade away thing. I took this spoon of ayahuasca with cacao, and when it started affecting me, it takes like about 40 minutes, maybe an hour, depends on the person. Sometimes it takes nothing. It depends so much, but for me in this time it took like an hour. So then I started fading away, and then he comes back saying if I wanted to, like he starts singing some Icarus, and then after finishing like 2-3 Icarus, he comes back and says like if I wanted to eat something more, some more ayahuasca with the cacao, and I felt I needed it. I don't like to go over on things. Like I'm pretty okay if I'm getting something. But then I felt I need to go deeper for basically externalize this as much as possible, so he could like I don't know, see perfectly where it is. But he already knew, so he said you must. And then with all my strength I stood up. I could barely talk, and he asked me how is my stomach. He knew that it comes from the colon pretty much. And during the ceremony, the only thing that I was being able to see was a rat. I kept seeing the rat, and this I've seen in different ceremonies, and it's almost like a rat is trying to take over on me, like I was a house and he wants to live in me until I die. So he said, "Uy, no, a rat? How come a rat?" And I told him that the fire showed me a rat, like the face of a rat. And then he said, "Oh, that doesn't sound good. That sounds like, or that sounds and feels like black magic." So that's exactly what I have had a vision of before. And I asked another shaman, and he said, like, don't think of these things and believe on these things, because then you make them happen. And I really believe this, the power of the mind, right? But I stopped it. I completely forgot that idea. That's not possible. Who would do that? But then he did a healing on me. He made me drink more ayahuasca in liquid form, and spill it with a little bit, like put more water in the same glass, and I drank that too. And then he ended up doing a healing on me. That was creepy and and kind of fun. I don't know. He took a Bambi, a deer skin, and he put it in front of the fire, and he told me to sit in front on the skin, and he started blowing tobacco on me until he found the point where the energy was, and that was here on the back of my neck. That's the place of the source of consciousness, the energy of consciousness. It's the brain unifies with the column. So he started doing this crazy noises, almost like some demon from the hell talking, you know, and then puking himself, and spitting dirt, and puking and spitting tobacco on me, and getting it out. And then I feel this extreme sadness and pressure on my head, and I start crying, and then he asked me if it was a way, and I could feel it basically here in the front of my head, very hard, and I kept crying, and then he went and got another medicine, that it's a medicine made of seeds. I can't remember the name right now, but I will come up with it later on in the next episodes probably. And he keeps, well, then he starts spitting this on my body. This is it's a seed that it's cooked in a special way, and it's created a brew that they spit on you, or they have to spray it on you with the intention of healing. So yeah, so I could not take a bath until next day in the night. And when he finished that, I was extremely tired, especially on my brain. I could almost not focus, and he was telling me to that I had to remember some spells, because from now on I will have to protect myself. What he said is that if you have had an entity like this, or a spell like this, conjuro, then most likely the thing will come back, because it was his home, and now he doesn't have any home. So you kicked him out. The house is clean, so he will come back with friends, he said. So now I have to be even more disciplined with when I go to sleep, and you debilitate yourself because you are bending yourself, like they call it. So your spirit abandons your body. That's what it's, the bending. Then you are very vulnerable for them to come back. So after sleeping, I have to do my some spells, and it's all about brain, you know. It's not all about the brain, but the brain decides so much. It's where the power finishes. It starts on the Kundalini, but it's where we make it have a form. And it's your own choice, or fight or freeze. What you can do is let it be over you, and then it ends up freezing your spirit, and you just don't advance. And even you can even like go backwards in evolution, you know, get stuck. But you can also choose to be a warrior, and to be a warrior is not to go around with the sword and fighting everything, but is to choose your battles right, and give the push. You know, it's hard. Give a push. You know, go a little bit further. It's always possible. And a warrior is from the heart, not from the head. You know, so the heart will tell you this is necessary and not. He was putting a lot of emphasis, thanks to this, on choosing the right people. Because of this, this is a past person in my life. He was also called El Rata. I think it is him, because when he asked me, that's the first thing that came on my head, and he was very obsessed. So, anyways, he's a past. So he said, very, very important. Choose your right people. Choose the people you surround you with. You don't need to have people that you don't need to accept everyone, and you don't need to. Of course, you accept everyone, but you don't need to. You don't need to agree that everything is possible. There are certain limits of moral and ethics. And it's important that you don't surround yourself with people that may cause you problems to your spirit and problems to you. At least that's what was my lesson. And yeah, believe can move a mountain. I'm reading things that I've written yesterday. I'm still kind of recovering energy from the ceremony. It was a great experience, but it will come. I know that there will be more teachings after this of awareness. And anyways, this was one of the experiences that I had, and one of the experiences that I will have. Especially starting in Ecuador, or starting the trip in Latin America like this, was pretty hardcore. Like good quality, you know. And yeah, he have put us in good contacts, and I think we are in the great path now. Well, goodbye, spirits, and I hope to see you in the other realm. I don't know what to say. I love you. Love and light. Ciao.